Breakfast with.
Good morning in Thompson.
I'm Rosh Chodesh. She doesn't want to call.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
You need an extra large coffee.
Yeah. No.
You want a granny? You want me to put?
I'm
I'm gonna
good.
mix the alcohol. Let's start.
You go, it's you.
You're good. You ready? Did it?
So, it's a shame I don't know politics.
How do you think of it like?
Not too late. All right.
So I'm gonna do fine.
Good morning, everybody. All right, we left off. We got a lot to do today. A lot of people got to leave early, so we're on Mem and Beis. We got to go. So Hamafkid Chavis Eitzo Chavero. One who goes ahead and he leaves a barrel by his friend, and he didn't go ahead and specify leave the barrel over here. The tiltala, and so he moved it. The barrel broke. So if he was going ahead and while he still had it before he returned to a place, it broke. In other words, he moved the barrel because he wanted to go ahead and use it. Then he's chayiv because he was using it for himself. Now, a person who goes ahead, he has permission to use it. If he uses it for himself, he's a ganav. A ganav is chayiv even for einsim. So therefore, he's chayiv in this case out being a ganav. The tzarcha, but let's say he was moving the barrel for its own, to place it in a safe place. Then it's potter. Then it's potter because it was einus. If once he left it in a spot, then it broke. Once he returned it to a spot, then potter. Since that was in safe keeping out, then there's an einus happen, potter. But if the owner said, okay, you're going to go ahead and put it in this corner of the garage. And Malka about Malka, the tiltani muda, the nishbra, bein misaychiyada, bein mishenicha, whether it was while he still had it or whether once he left it there, then letzarcho. If he moved it away, then placed it back over there, then he's chayiv. And if it was for the purpose of its own, for letzarcho, then he had to temporarily move it, then he moved it back, then he's pater. So let's understand the mission. So let's start the Gemara. 3 lines from the bottom on Mem Amud Beis. Today's Daf Mem Aleph. So Hamani, whose opinion is this? Is Rabbi Shmeli. The Omar loy be'inan das balam. In other words, we said in the Mishnah, once you place it into the makom in the ratio, it says once you place it in its place in a spot, it's like you return it. Therefore, even though he might have taken it to use it, i.e., he was a ganav, but the ganav returned it, and then once it was placed in a spot, it broke as an onus. He's putter. Right. So he didn't tell the owner I returned the item. He didn't take anything. He didn't take anything. Nothing was right. Nothing was. There was no chisaron. We'll soon have a machlokas later on. Now, so you don't need the knowledge of the owner. If I stole something, it's stolen. But if I return it, but even without telling him, then it's considered to be returned. The Tana Luna Brisa Hagani Tlemina Eder V'Salamina Keys. So a person goes out and he steals, let's say, a sheep from a pen, or he steals a coin from a purse, and he returns it lamakom shagana to the place where he stole it from. Yachzer. The Div Rabbi Shmuel, it's considered to be returned according to Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel says, "Loy be'inan das b'aylam." Rabbi Kiva says, he argues, and he says, top of the page, "Tzarich das b'aylam." No, you need to inform. If it was taken out of the place, you need to inform the owner it was placed back in the place where it was in the first place. Now. So Rabbi Shmuel, my area lo yachdav. Why do you have to say, in other words, when he moved it to a spot that he did not designate? I feel yachdav, even if he designated a spot, nami lo. Or in other words, he should also as a nami, he should also be part of that case. It's considered to be returned. So the Gemara answers, you're right. Let me buy kamar. Right? It's not necessary. Let me buy yachdav. The mekaymahu. Not only the fact that it was a designated spot, they returned it there. And that was the spot set by the owner that, of course, is returned. Even if he did not go ahead and designate a spot, right, and just place in a place for its safekeeping, the lav makami, because it wasn't its official place. So maybe loibin and das bailam. Nevertheless, you don't need das bailam in that case. It's considered to be returned. Did I make a shot for you? I'm thinking.
Do it again. Come on.
Nice?
Yeah.
Did I make one or no?
We didn't hear it. Go.
Okay.
I give that a 9.5. Very good.
Thank you. All right.
Wow.
In the safe.
Wow.
Let's look at the safe now. Oh, so no, you don't need das bailam. So in the safe, let's look at the safe. So Yaakov bailam makom. If there was a designated spot, as the Mishnah, the Mishnah said, and the tilta he moved it, and it broke. Whether they moved it or not, in other words, whether it was for his own purpose or the barrel's purpose, he's chayiv. So l'tarcha, so it says, so chayiv l'tarcha, but it was if for its purpose, it was pater. But even if he took it for his own purposes, if he returned it to the spot, then then there should be, we don't need das bailim. It should be considered returned according to Rabbi Yishmael. So our answer is also Rabbi Kiva. That goes according to Rabbi Kiva, who says that you need tzarich das bailim. Damar b'ina das bailim. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Kiva, this is Rabbi Kiva, my area yachdav. Why do you only have to be? Why you're chayiv in a case of where you designate a spot? If you yachdav, even if you did not designate a spot, nami. He should also be chayiv in that case. The Gemara says, "Lo mi boy, come on, lo mi boy." You don't need just the case of the lo yachdav. He didn't set a spot, designate a spot, the la mekoimehu, and therefore it's not considered returning. Of course, in other words, of course not return. Therefore, you're chayiv. Ela filu yachdav. Even if he designated a spot, nami, you say that the mekoimehu, that since it was a designated spot, it's considered as a place who. Nevertheless, but in das balam. Nevertheless, you need das balam even in the case. So in other words, even if that a spot was designated and you return it to that spot, according to Rabbi Kiva, you still need the owner's knowledge. Hey, by the way, I took the barrel, I used it. I had whatever it was, I used it for a purpose, and now, but I placed it back. Then that's returned. But if he didn't inform him, then he would not.
Isn't this in the balls which shoot the whole time?
This is. He's it's in the he's mafkid etzu chavera. It's at the shomer's house, right?
I took the barrel to the shomer's house and said.
So you're supposed to watch my barrel for me,
And if you didn't say specifically watch it in this spot.
right? In other words, he said, "You watch the barrel." He says, "Yeah." So he brought the barrel over. So if he said, "Okay, why don't you put it in the garage?" That seems like a safe space. Then that's considered b'yachdov law. But if he doesn't, so then there's a little more leeway of where is this mekom or not. So the Gemara says now Reish Rabbi Yishmael v'Sefer Rabbi Kiva. So that's how you're going to explain it. Like the Reish is like Rabbi Yishmael and it says Rabbi Kiva. In yes, the Amar Rabbi Yechanan, man the one who explains to me this mission of the barrel, aliba dechad tana, according to one opinion. In other words, we can say it's either all Rabbi Yishmael or Rabbi Kiva. Muvlana ma'anya ba'asvei lebei mesusa. I will go ahead and offer to carry his his towel and his clothing to the bathhouse. So just placing it out there if anyone wants to have Rabbi Yechanan system, that's what he said. But we'll soon come back to Rabbi Yechanan, as there is an opinion that really you can say the entire mission is like one Tana. So let's see. So Tirgba Rabbi Yaakov bar Abba Kamei Derav. So what does it mean that he took it? This is l'tzarcho shenatlo al manas l'gozlo. He took it in order to go ahead and steal it, right? To be a ganav. That's when he initially took it. And now he was going ahead and use the wine. That's why he originally moved it. And then he maybe decided not to. But in Tirgon Rab Nasan bar Abba Kamei Derav shenitla al manas l'shloch bayad, to do shlichus yad. Now, two different things. There's a distinction between stealing something. Once I steal something, I'm chayav. And once again, once I'm a shemer, so there's two psukim of the Torah we'll soon see by Shomer Chino, Shomer Sachar, also by Shael, that it says that once you swear that it wasn't the shemer's fault, and also that he shaloch bayad, he didn't use it, because using it all of a sudden is similar to stealing. Now, stealing, you really only chai for that which you. That which you stole. In other words, that if I only share a portion, as opposed to shlichus yad, that once I even trying to use it for something, I'm a chai for the whole entire amount. So that's one of the not.
Just a TV to watch it, he uses the TV to watch it.
Shloch yad, right?
So even though it's still there, but he's still a shloch.
So he would be
drinking something that he wants to drink some of the wine from it.
But if he was shloch yad, right? He was going to use the barrel. Right, even part of it, he gave him a drum set, and he only wanted to use one part of it, so he's considered to be shalach bayad in the entire amount, as opposed to he stole it, he's bechayah for that one. So Gemara says, so one says the Mishnah is the case of gzeilo, and the other one uses the case of shlichus yad. So if what's the machlokes? Shlichus yad, whether a person shlichus yad needs a loss or not. Now, is that considered to be using if I didn't use it up at all? So if he says, and I'm just talking about the case of guys like in order to be shlichus yad, he has to go ahead and use it up or some sort of loss. And there's no loss; he just used the barrel for another reason, and therefore So therefore, that our case is not shlichus yad. Our case is the case of gzela. But my damage shlichus by yad was our case is shlichus yad. Somebody holds shlichus yad ain't shlichus kisar. You don't need any sort of loss for it to be considered to be using. So Maskov Rav Sheshes midei nafla Tani doesn't say he took it, but that he's talking about Geneva or whatever gzela or shlichus yad. Tiltala Katani, he just moved it. All right, it doesn't sound like he was using it. So how can he explain the Mishnah? He stole it. If that's the case, so what's pshat the Mishnah? Why is he chayiv? The Elam Rav Sheshes Hakabayski. Here's how Rav Sheshes understands it. And Rav Sheshes is going to go ahead and basically learn it according to one Tana. Kagain shetiltala lahavi ale geizlos. Right, he moved the barrel. He wanted to step on the barrel to go ahead and take some birds. Because saver shayel. Shalai das, a person who borrows something without consent, is gazlan havi. He is a gazlan, and therefore he is chayiv in this case. The kula Rabbi Shmuel, it's all according to the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel. And therefore, once you return it back to a spot, even though you moved it to go ahead to the stand upon, once you return back to a spot, it's considered to be returned. And it's all according to Rabbi Shmuel. If the seifa, what's the case of the seifa? So the seifa says even if he puts it back, right, he's still chayiv. If he took it for his own usage, put it back, you don't need the consent. But Malcolm Shena Mekayma, our safe is returning. Yes, he returned it, but not to the spot of where it was designated. And therefore, since he didn't return to the designated spot, therefore Rabbi Shmuel considers it not returned. Not the fact he didn't tell the Balaam. The Balaam don't need to know, right? Because Rabbi Shmuel holds you don't need to inform the Balaam. Rather, he didn't put it in its proper spot. And since it's not in its proper spot, therefore it's not considered to be returned. Rabbi Yochanan, he offered to carry close to the bathhouse. If he can explain the one Tana, he can be all like Rabbi Shmuel. He explains the case of Tilpah when he moved it. Say nicha b'mekayma mashma. No, because the lashon of the Mishnah, one of the words at the end of the Mishnah says hinicha. He places it there. What does it mean hinicha? So according to Rabbi Yochanan, hinicha sounds like he put it b'mekayma in its spot. So if he's put it in its spot, then of course it's considered a return and he should be patur. So therefore, that's the reason why he didn't explain it all according to Rabbi Shmuel. See tomorrow. Speaking of this machlekes, Rav Velevi is machlekes chad omar shlichus yad shlichus chisaron. That in order to, if I'm using it, the guy's using it, there has to be some sort of loss in that which I'm watching. It would not be a loss, right? That right? And that says no, it's still shlichus yad. So this time the Rav, let's say it's more logical than who dama shlichus yad ain't shlichus chisaron. Let's try and bring a proof. Right, that Rav is one of the shlichus yad does not need any sort of loss, right? Which will actually you can assume say the opposite. But let's see. The Tanya within a brisa, roya shaya roya edjo. A shepherd was watching the flock, other people's sheep, and of course, like a good responsible shepherd, he leaves his post. Uba La'ir, he went to the city. Uba, meanwhile, while he went to the city, a Zev V'taraf, a wolf comes along, and a big bad wolf comes along and tears apart one of the sheep. Or Ari Vidoras, or a lion came and took care of it. So all these cases are einstein. If even if the shepherd was there, he wasn't going to do anything to the lion, right? So Pater, nevertheless, he's Pater in this case because there's einus.
Say, but the wolf is also.
The wolf is also considered einus. Say Hinia Makaloi, right? But let's say the sheep is there. He says, the sheep is out of put on the ground. He puts his coat and his staff on top of the sheep. It's like a resting spot. He's using the sheep, right? Shloich yad, right? He's using the sheep, and then that animal comes and tears it apart. The lion comes along. He's chayiv, right? He's chayiv because it's out shlichus yad. So the Gemara says, chayiv, right? So he's understand because he placed it in a pot once a time. He put it in, he took it. He took it away. Some Rav Nachman, Rav. No. When the lion attacked, he was still using it. His coat was still upon the animal. So Gemara says, my hobby. I understand if he put it on, he didn't make a kidney. He didn't steal it. He didn't use it at all, right? What does it mean with the stick? He hit it with the stick and it moved. In other words, he was a ganav, right? He made a kidney. He moved it for his own purpose. But there's no loss here. Ella shma mina kasaver must be shlichus yad ain't shlichus, right? In other words, there was no loss here because the animal just moved, right? He just put his stuff on the animal. There's no loss there. Nevertheless, his chayv shlichus yad does not need a loss. So the says, whoa. So maybe it means when he hit it, he weakened the animal with the stick by making it move, and it became weaker and less valuable. And there is a chisar. And Diganami can even infer from the Lashon Litani that says, he weakened it with the stick, right? He hit it with the stick and he injured it, right? So therefore, Shmamino, it must be that there has to be a chisar. So it's opposite. The Rav holds that there ought to be shleach yad, there has to be a loss. With the Rav, but the fact that Rav held that the shlichus yad needs a loss, so it must be that Levi the shlichus yad does not need any sort of loss. So my time the Levi was according to Levi. So Amar Rav Yechon Shir Rav Yosi ben Horoi Meshuna shlichus yad ha'amur right ha'omer ha'amura b'shem yisachar mishlichus yad ha'amura b'shem yechinam. Now it says it twice in the Torah. Im lo shalach bayad, once by a shomer sachar, once by a paid watchman, he can't go ahead and use it, and once by a free watchman, hey, do me a favor, sure, I'll go ahead and do it, but also he can't go ahead and use it for free. In other words, what? Vani. So in other words, this is Rabbi Yochanan saying about so this is Rabbi Yochanan saying, it says he learned it as the same reason. Vani, turn the page, right? Vani. I said no, it's not extra, it's not identical. What do you mean? What does it mean? It's different. It has come for a reason. So don't say, right, that you can't go ahead and touch and use it in the case of a paid watchman. Right? In other words, I would think if someone's watching something for free for me, then maybe he's allowed to use it. If I'm paying him to watch it, for sure he can't touch it, right? But if he's watching it for free, so maybe there's room to think that I'm doing him a favor, so I'm just use it, no big deal, right? So Pasuk the Torah says even by a shomer chinam, you're doing something for free, you can't touch it. Certainly, if I'm being paid, I can't go ahead and use it and touch it, right? So only say to one spot. Say in the case of shomer chinam, a kavachem shomer sachar. Right, so like the Mashlich was Yabashem Sachar, but he's in Mishem Mechina. Uma Shem Mechina Shapata Begneva Aveda. By a Shem Mechina, the person does something for free. Nevertheless, he's potter if it was stolen or lost. So Shalach Bayad. Nevertheless, if he uses it in the case of a Shem Mechina, he's chayiv. The Shomer Sachar Shechayv Begneva Aveda. So a person's paid where he's chayiv or Begneva Aveda. Look, certainly it would be chayiv in the case of Shalach Bayad. So if that's the case, Lamai Hilchas. So why do you got to write it a second time in the Torah? So, so it says, look, Lamai Hilchazak Safinu Rachmana, Lamai Lacha to tell you, Shlichus Yad ain't not Shlichus Chisara. Shlichus Yad does not need a Chisara. That's the reason why. In other words, it's not much for the pasuk. Why is this an extra? To teach a special halacha by Shlichus Yad. The Shlichus Yad, there doesn't have to be any loss to it to be considered to be used. And says Rabbi Yochanan, I say, Ein Meshuna, Rabbi Elazar. I say, no. There's a reason why it's repeated, because like Rabbi El said, Damar, Davado Achasi, because it said both of them are one. What does that mean? Ma Davado Achas. You can say, no, it's necessary, because you had the Kabbalah Chaimer before. You said, oh, you learned from Shomer Chinam. You can't, certainly Shomer Sachar you can't. So he says, no, Ikal Mifrach, Ma Shomer Chinam, Shakem Mishalim Tashlumi Kefel. A person watches something for free and denies using it, right? Or it says, right? And then it turns out he was one who stole it. He is chayav to go ahead and pay kefil. So b'toy taris ganav. In other words, if he claimed it was stolen, which stolen makes him what? The shomer chinam makes him potter, right? He claims it was stolen, and it turns out he was the one who took it. He has to pay kefil 2 times, right? But in the case of a shomer sachar, he claims it was stolen, and it turns out he stole. Doesn't make a difference. If you're stolen, you're chayiv. A shomer sachar is chayiv for gneva veda, right? So a shomer sachar is actually more machmer because he has to pay kefil. Excuse me, a shomer chinam is more machmer because he pays kefil. A shomer sachar, right, is only pays keren, and therefore, so you can say, oh, there's no kavachim anymore because maybe the reason why shlichus yad is chayiv by a shomer chinam is because we're machmer by there because he pays kefil. Huh? Because once he says it was stolen, so he's chayiv keren.
They find he's the one who stole.
So they right. So no. So from the psukim they learn out because only if in that case because he once it's stolen, it's not there. He's already chayiv out the shmira. So it's not really a case of geneva, right? Where he wasn't. Once he says that it got stolen, so it's not your fault, but you're chayiv. So therefore, if it turns out he was the one, there's no kefil in that case.
It's not because of the steal; it's because of the lie.
Right, but there has to be a shvua. So by a shvua, so yeah, now it's whether right. So the Gemara says, "Uman delay parich," and the one who doesn't ask, if you learn a kavachamer, suffer karna below shvua adiva mekele shvua. Does he know which is more machmer? The 90% of the cases are where it's just it gets stolen and he didn't steal it himself. So therefore, he's have to pay the Karen, the principal. Therefore, paying the principal in the case of Gneva is more machmer than the once in the blue moon paying the kefil in the case.
If he sends a stone, they just take shua.
Well, he has to make a shvua that he didn't use. In other words, that he doesn't have in his possession.
She does.
Right. He did in that case, right. So Rav Omar, but once again, that was a shvua. He's a different type of korban. That's not a shvua of denying money because by saying it was stolen, whether he or not stolen, he's not trying to avoid payment in that way. Now, Rav Omar, Leitamar Shlichas Yad, actually both of them are extra, right? Because there's actually another place where we mentioned in the Torah, but he's even shoyel by a borrower. A person borrows, he's not chayiv, right? So he says, Uma shoyel deladas ba'alim kovid. Now, a shoyel, a person's borrowing it. Obviously, the owner knows he's using the article, right? Masha deladas ba'alim kovid, shalach bayad chayiv. And once he uses it, then he's chayiv. Knows that's when he's chayiv for einsin. So shemechinim shemesachar lo kolshe. And certainly, right, you should be chayiv because those cases the owner has no idea you're going to be using it, as opposed to a borrower where I'm borrowing it to use it. So so if that's the case, why are you saying shlichus yad by a case of shomer sakar? Why are you saying shlichus yad by a case of shomer chinam? So one actually says shlichus yad ain't shlichus. What is the chiddush? Excuse me. That shlichus yad you do not need to use up. The idach and the other one shalai tamar dayolav minadil liyaz kanidon. Maybe I would have thought to learn even more than I was learning out from. In other words, I would have thought what? Ma shayel b'bailim pater. Just like when a person is a shayel b'bailim, he's pater. So too, if I'm watching something for someone and the owner is actually one of my workers, right? So even though I'm watching something for him because I have a safe in my house that he doesn't have by him, and he's working my field and he's working with me, and maybe that I go ahead and touch it. So ma b'bailim. Nevertheless, you might think I'm pater. Because just like a shayel is pater, maybe these cases I'm also pater if he's working for me. Kamash does maybe it's working for me. If I'm shoch bayad, I am chayiv. And according to the opinion who holds both these two psukim are not extra, and therefore you cannot go ahead and learn now the shlichus yad. So according to the opinion, shlichus yad tzurich hani tarti shlichus yad lamali. Why do you have the two of them? So chada. Like we just said, one of them to teach us that by Sholech Yad, in case of Shomer Chinam, Shomer Sachar, you are still chayiv, even though you would have thought maybe like a shayel, you're not. The idach and the other one, because the time they're going to bryce them. It says V'nikra Balabayis El Elohim. So it says, and the owner goes to the judges. Right? So it says l'shvua. In other words, he has to go ahead and make a shvua in this case. And the Gemara says, is it only a shvua? He makes a shvua. Maybe he just goes to court without a shvua. So never shlichus yad lamata. It says shlichus yad in the case of a shomer sachar, but never shlichus yad lamala. In other words, he has to swear that he doesn't have it. So the case of shlichus yad, so mala holan shvua. Just like the case of shomer sachar that he makes a shvua. So too, afkan l'shvua. So too over here, he has to also go ahead and make a shvu in this case, and therefore it comes to teach you that even though you might have thought so in other words, we have the connection of shlichus yad to teach out that the shemer does make a shvua that that he doesn't have it. All right, we'll stop here at the Mishnah. Everybody, all right.
Okay.
Everybody have a wonderful.